The issue of talks between Iran and the United States has become an inseparable part of Q&A sessions and speeches delivered by would-be candidates of Iran's 11th presidential election. Presidential hopefuls have their own views with regard to the issue of talks with Washington. In the latest of such reactions, Kamran Bagheri Lankarani, the would-be candidate of the Perseverance Front of the Islamic Revolution, in a speech at Tehran University said that it should not be interpreted as if holding talks with Washington
We are not in need of change in US policy towards Iran. Americans are not ready to give Iran any concessions. Of course, this does not mean that we do not support talks. But what we are after is holding talks based on mutual respect and sincerity in words and actions.
Meanwhile, Mustafa Pur Mohammadi, a principalist and former interior minister, in a speech among university students said that holding talks with the US does not solve any problem.
Holding talks with the US does not solve any problem for us. The talks will be to the benefit of the US more than Iran. But we can hold direct talks with Washington, provided that our national interests are ensured. I believe there is no need for Iran to be at war with the US forever. Iran has the capacity to protect and ensure its national interests while having ties with the US.
Other hopefuls have already made clear their views about US-Iran ties. Independent hopeful Mohsen Rezai and Secretary of Iran's Expediency Council has said that under the current conditions, the US will not give concessions to Iran. He believes the Americans are waiting to see the impact of sanctions on the country. If we resist the sanctions, they will change the form of talks. Meanwhile, Ali Akbar Velayati, a member of the Coalition of Three, who is also a top advisor to the leader of the Islamic Revolution, said that it is not right to call relations with Washington a taboo, because taboo is a symbol of something which is unchangeable. If we call it taboo, it means that the policy of the Islamic Republic of Iran with regard to ties with Washington is not logical, which is not right. At the same time, reformist would-be candidate Hassan Rouhani, who is the former secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, says under proper conditions and provided that our national interests are protected, we can resume bilateral ties under the guidelines of the leader of the Islamic Revolution. This is while another reformist hopeful, Mustafa Kavakebian, has said that if elected, he can resume ties with Washington in 6 months through proper management. Such views by the hopefuls come as they can register from May 7th to 11th for the country's 11th presidential election. The Guardian Council vets the candidates for final qualifications. After being vetted by the Guardian Council, the candidates will have 20 days to launch their campaign. Iran's 11th presidential election will be held on June 14th, 2013. Saman Kujuri, Press TV, Tehran.